I started off in middle school, 7th grade. All my friends growing up played basketball, so I followed suit. And going into 7th grade, I was one of the smaller kids in my school. David Sternberg, the middle school coach at the time, he went around in the cafeteria trying to recruit some wrestlers. And he came to my table, and everyone's like, oh, basketball, basketball, the typical. And he looks at me like, you're a little guy, like you have no future in basketball. And then he started trying to question like our toughness. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I'm tiny. I weigh 100 pounds, or at that time 80 pounds. So yeah. So he kind of sold me on, you don't have to be big to wrestle. You know, obviously with my friends would always be wrestling around anyway, so it was just like a natural transition. But entering high school, you've heard of so much success and all the legends and the past wrestlers, like making state, winning state. So it was kind of cool to be a part of that, because Beachwood Wrestling is probably the most successful program there is. And so just being part of it and looking up to these seniors and these past alumni that had come back at Thanksgiving break and winter break, and it was just cool to be a part of it. So it was really just one of those. Beachwood, I feel like we were a small school, and it was hard for teams like football and soccer to be good. So individual sport, it was awesome that we can kind of be the leaders of the pack and had that much success. Obviously not cutting weight, so that was probably the worst memory. I just love being part of the team and part of the family, wrestling family. All those extra times sitting around in the locker room, after practices, on the mats, it's just awesome. It's just like you grow such a special bond, traveling to different tournaments with your teammates, just going to wrestling camps and experiencing all the extra stuff outside of wrestling is awesome. And I think that's what makes it one of the better sports. It's just your bond with teammates. You go through such hard work, so it's like you get to experience, like it's maybe like more like the military. They put you through such tough, tasks that when you're coming out of it, it's just you grow tighter from it. In high school, obviously, it was Coach I was the main guy, and then obviously Ryan Peters came along, and he was younger, and he was the one that motivated us and pushed us. So those two people were probably the most beneficial in my life for a wrestling career. Coach I, he was just, I feel like he was more the CEO. We called him our Italian grandpa. He wasn't the coach that was on the mat and showing us moves, or he wasn't the one on the track, making us run sprints. He was more of like, he just cared about us. I think that was the biggest thing we took away. We were pushed so hard and they demanded excellence from us, but he cared about us and he just wanted to talk to us as more of a friend than a coach. And it was just so awesome that all these coaches just want to push you in the sport of wrestling. And when you have someone like the yin and the yang, that you can go talk to him. And him being in the school, being our teacher, it was just great throughout the day. You can just go talk to him about anything, and he cared about us and just wanted to see us do well, obviously in wrestling, but also in our personal life. He's such a good resource to have in high school when you're going through, so many changes in an awkward stage of life. There's another family member you can lean on, and obviously he has so much wisdom. He's been around forever and so respected in the community. So just talk with him about everything. But obviously he loved talking wrestling, so you can talk to him for hours about wrestling, the history, and even now when I see him, he just loves talking about old high school times and matches, and you obviously talk to him forever about it, and it's a great thing to have. Beachwood Wrestling is not known for one move or one type of style. If you look back throughout the history of Beachwood Wrestling, there's so many different wrestlers, and they had their unique funkiness. Like Scott Heller, he had his cradles, Linsker, spladles, Seth Preisler, shin whips. He was just so consistent. We knew Coach I would always be there. He wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel. He had a successful program, and he just fit everyone into it. So it was just so consistent, and he just cared for us. He was a teacher in the building, and my non-wrestler friends, was their favorite teacher. They weren't wrestlers, but he had such a good personality, and he was fun, and everyone wanted to be in Coach I's class. And then he really tried to make us as like a family. So after every wrestling match, tournaments, we'd go out to eat as a team, and that really helped us grow as a team. Most people don't think about off the mat, that's so beneficial to being such a successful team, but we'd go to Tasty Pizzas after every home match, and those kind of memories that just last forever. I'd hear all the stories from the older alumni that would talk about he would throw people in the walls and he would yell, but I got to see him a little later in life, and he's obviously tempered down a little, and he was kind of the softer side. Our other coaches would push us hard, but Coach I, he couldn't watch us sprint. So he'd after the practice, and they would sprint us on the track every Tuesday and Thursday. Coach I would go shower, and he's like, I can't watch this. It's too hard to watch, because he had a soft side of it and just really cared about us. When he was coaching us, we thought Coach I maybe had 5-10 more years, and he's been doing this forever. And we're 25 years later, and I have a son who's going to 7th grade, and it's so cool that, he might be coaching my son next year. I would never imagine that that would be an opportunity. Experience a special bond with my son, having the same coach, and he's molded me into the person I am today, and he can have, the same thing, be able to coach my son, which is a really cool experience. And then another memory for Coach I is beginning of the season every year, we'd go do warm-ups and try to get back in shape. And the first practice, he would always bring out this old school this instrument and do our body fat check. And he'd bring us one by one into his office, and he would start grabbing our fat and he'd weigh us. And we would always joke, like, he has no idea what he's doing. He's just pinching fat, and he'd be like, yeah, you can lose 10 pounds, or you can lose 15 pounds. And he's usually pretty accurate, but like back then, we didn't have all the computers and all the different things to calculate it that they do now with the hydration test. But it was funny. We'd always joke, like, Coach I has no idea what's going on, but he did have a madness to his science. And one last story, we were at States my junior year, and one of my teammates, Scott Heller, didn't make weight. And an hour later, Heller went up to Coach I. He's like, all right, Coach, we're good. And Coach I had no idea how Heller made weight. And he'd always knew there was some funny business up. And Coach I to this day would always ask me, like, Jason, I know you had something to do with this. Did you weigh in for him? But Coach I just want to let you know, I'll never tell you. Yeah, obviously, Beachwood Wrestling as a whole is so big. It's not one person is responsible for the whole history. I'm just a piece of it. When I was, entered high school, usually the two seniors made state, and that was usually, for a while how it went. So I made state as a sophomore, and once that happened, it brought some younger guys in that started doing the same. And instead of having the two seniors make states and start placing, we started building more of a team and getting more success at the state level. And hopefully, the younger guys kind of saw how hard I worked and all the time I put into it, and try to lead by example. And hopefully, they saw that and it carried over. And then obviously now that I'm much older and have younger kids, I help coach the elite program to help feed into the next generation. So I try to give back, that way is, help the young kids, and hopefully they can find the passion that I did in the sport and carry on to high school and keep the tradition going. I really think wrestling is what made me the person I am today, like as successful I am in my actual career now. It just teaches hard work, and obviously the whole foundation's from wrestling. Like, they push you out of your comfort zone. It's just that work ethic carried me to where I am today. So it's obviously all based on wrestling. There's a great article about why you should hire a wrestler. We're a different breed, and we're wired a little different, and we're willing to push the extra mile to get a task done. And I feel like we have that mentality, is we're going to work harder than you and get the job done. We talk about this all the time, but wrestling will change your life. It really teaches you so many different things in the world to be successful. If you can go through wrestling, I think Dan Gable said, everything else is easy. It's such a true statement, because wrestling's such a good sport. It's not for everyone. There are some kids that come out and it's not for you. And I talk to the parents, and I agree. You can't push someone into wrestling. Over time, you'll learn to love it, but you want to wrestle. If you give wrestling a chance, it can pay off in so many ways down the line, because it teaches you so many value lessons, and it really is the best sport in the world.